everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. So I had all intentions to wake up today. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna get some content filmed for the channel, I'm gonna read most of my book, and it's almost 2 o'clock and I haven't done any of that yet. So it hasn't really been that much of a productive day off. And I did read a little bit. Like, I started A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown. So I read A Song of Wraiths and Ruins like right before it released back in 2020 when I had all that time on my hand, because I would just be reading and reading and reading to get over the craziness that was work at the time. Right now I'm working, and because my job is a little bit different, I have to really focus on what's going on like on the computer, so I can't read as much, which is kind of annoying because it's really slowing me down too. I was so used to like reading in between dealing with clients, and that's just not happening right now. And plus, most of my books are physical right now, which is actually a struggle for me. Like, I didn't realize how dependent I've been on audiobooks to help me get through some of these books like the past year. So like sitting down and paying attention to a physical book is a lot, and it's a new exercise, and I really have to focus my brain on that task, which is good in some ways because it takes me away from the computer. But like, y'all, it's taking me so much longer to read these stories now. And I'm so behind on my TBR. Like, I started Ashes of Gold, which I am buddy reading with Shomla and Shay. And I'm only 85 pages in. And it's a 408 page book. I need to finish this by the end of the week, and I just don't know what's going on with me. Like, every time I go to pick this one up, it's like a struggle. And I think it's because the first one was so heavy, I'm just like anticipating it, and I don't know what to expect. And then like the writing is just a lot different this time around. It like, the first chapter took me a little bit of time to get through, and right now it's like, I don't know. The prose just feels different. The tone just feels different. And I'm not sure how I feel about this one right now. I did get some new books in recently. So recently in the mail, I got Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl by Joya Goffney. She was so sweet. Like, I read her first book and then I interviewed her. Like, definitely go out and check out Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry if you haven't already. And then she reached out to me. She's like, hey, do you want a copy of this book? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I definitely want to check it out. So she sent it to me. And then Brittany Lewis also sent me a book, and it is The Undead Truth of Us, which is her debut. And I've been hearing great things about this. Like, I got to interview her recently as well, and I will leave the link in the comments section if you want to check that out. Like, I'm hyped for this because it's like YA, horror, little fantasy, contemporary, and I really want to see more of these contemporary genre stories with black girls in YA, especially if they don't have to do with racism. So highly looking forward to this one. And then I finished Honest June by Tina Wells, and this was actually really cute. Like, so it's a middle grade, but it has illustrations in it like a chapter book would. So that was pretty cool. I got a finished copy from Random House Kids, so shout out to them. And I was really looking forward to this because I'm like, I need a fun, light, contemporary story with a black girl that I can pass on to my niece. And there's just not a lot. Like, I feel like so many of the books I pick up are just so heavy lately. Like, and I'm not intentionally picking up heavy stories. That's just what ends up happening. And I feel like, especially in the middle grade, you kind of have to wade through it to find like just a fun story. So this was cool because there was like no racism or anything in it. It was just this girl navigating her first semester of middle school. And she's so used to lying all the time because she wants to please everybody, especially her parents. Like her dad went to Howard and her mom is a doctor from like a long line of doctors. So they're putting a lot of pressure on her to perform well. Her dad says, you are going to be a lawyer at Howard. He has her on that track already. And so she has to make sure that her grades are good all the time. And he wants her in so many extracurricular activities. Like he's like, I see natural talent for you in field hockey. So he makes her join field hockey. But she likes doing newspaper because she likes to be more creative. But he wants her to join the debate team. And it's so much for her. So like one day she's at this like town carnival. And in the fun house she meets this fairy godmother who ends up like casting a spell on her where she can't lie. Like every time she tries to lie, she feels like her nose filling up with fairy dust and it's like irritating her and making her sneeze, so she has to tell the truth. But she also feels like these weird like pains and like feelings in her stomach that she just can't ignore. So I like how it dealt with anxiety. I like how it dealt with honesty, because sometimes you do have to be truthful and honest even though you think it's gonna hurt somebody. Like in June's case, she got that spell cast on her where she tell the truth and she started coming for everybody's food. She said her mama's potato salad is like watery guacamole. She said her best friend's mama's potato salad ain't got no seasoning. She said there's no Old Bay, there's no Lowry's, nothing. And I'm like, dang. But it was a really cute story. There were a couple times here and there where I'm like, are the kids really saying this? Like there were some phrases here and there, but it wasn't too bad. I did a little reading up on the author and she talked about how she works in marketing and she kind of used her marketing research to help her write this book to see like what girls are into. And some of these parts really felt like a throwback to the stuff I would have enjoyed like as a kid too. So I found that fun. Like, and then one of the things June does is she writes this blog when the secrets are too much for her, but she doesn't want to blurt it out because she doesn't want to be rude. She'll write it in her thoughts out in this blog. So I thought that was pretty cool. It deals with friendships as well, like when you and your friends feel like you're growing apart, making new friends, navigating crushes. Like all in all, this is a really fun book. I really enjoyed it. And then the book 2 is coming out later this year in the summer. And I will definitely be checking that one out too. So I think I'm going to go back to reading A Psalm of Storms and Silence for a little bit. Like I got the audiobook. So I'm listening to it, which the first one I physically read, so that's a big difference. But I feel like the writing is light enough that I can read it through audiobook. I don't usually pick up audiobooks for fantasy, but this one isn't like overly complex to the point where I would get lost. And so far I'm liking the narration and I'm curious to see where this story goes. My aunt is coming over in like about an hour, so let's see how much reading I can get in, because I don't feel like I'm going to be getting in much today. I will check in with you guys later. Bye. Hey y'all, just checking back in. I'm still reading A Psalm of Storms and Silence, and I am at the 25% mark now, so I'm starting to remember what happened in the first story, and we're making some interesting developments with Karina being on the run, trying to stop from being captured, and Malik trying to like communicate with her through their dreams. It's really interesting so far. I'm enjoying it. I think I'm going to switch to reading Ashes of Gold again. Like I said earlier, it's been a bit of a struggle trying to get back into it, especially a year after reading Wings of Ebony. And it just feeling like so different, like we're following different characters this time. And Rue is also not not one of my most favorite protagonists. She's really hard to deal with. So I'm gonna go back to reading. We'll see how much progress I make. I will check in soon. Bye. Hi everyone. So today is the next day and I am enjoying this cinnamon crunch latte from Panera. It's amazing. It tastes just like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and it's like Christmas in a cup. I love it. But I didn't get that much further with Ashes of Gold. I don't know, my moods are just off this month. I'm having a hard time connecting to that one. And then last night I was listening to another rendition of When Black Women Speak, which Shay, Britt, and Bree do. I will leave a link down below. And it was just a really good conversation. Like, I do discussions on my channel often, but like a lot of the things that I'm observing about books and publishing, they also are observing and they like to talk about it, which is great. Last night's discussion like partly touched on publishing, and then it also touched on gatekeeping and booktube and how they're intertwined, and that's something that's been on my mind a lot lately too, like because we talk about diversity so much on booktube, but then when you actually think about the books that are constantly talked about, it's always the same ones over and over again. Like, yes, there will be some different ones mentioned, like in the monthly wrap-up, but the same recommendations all the time are presented. And one of the things they touched upon, which I really appreciated, was we had a discussion about Legendborn, and it was great because that book is a book that I find is really tokenized on booktube, and it's like you're only allowed to have one opinion on it, and if you don't and if you have critiques about it or you didn't like it, people treat it like it's a problem. And it's like, no, we should be able to critique Black stories and express all of our different opinions and have a discussion, even if you like the books. Because I also mentioned Amari and the Night Brothers. I really enjoyed that book. I loved it at the time I read it. But it's important to note that Amari is a bit of a token in her own world because she's the only Black girl in the story surrounded by a sea of whiteness, and she has to fight that. And I've noticed that booktube will often gravitate to the stories where Black characters are the only ones in a sea of whiteness, and stories that often talk about racism. Those are the stories everybody loves and hypes. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I said, let's talk about some other middle grade stories. All of a sudden everybody's like, I love middle grade because of Amari. But then why aren't you picking up more Black middle grade stories, preferably with a majority Black cast? So that's just something like to think about. Those discussions that Britt, Jay, and Bree have are amazing, and they I just love the energy that they bring, so I look forward to those once a month. And I'm going to be thinking too about my content, how I can promote some of the books I read, because I definitely use my booktube page more for discussions, and then most of my reviews and stuff are on my blog. And it's kind of hard because reviews don't do as well here on booktube. I still love them. I still post for some ones that really stand out to me. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can showcase some of these other books that I'm reading that I maybe don't want to do a whole standalone review for. So I'm gonna finish up my lunch, and then I gotta work, and I'll see if I'm able to squeeze in any reading in between. I will check in with you guys later. Hey guys, so it's not the next day, it's the day after the next day. I've just been so busy this week. Work is like exhausting, and then I get off of work and I'm like, I have no energy to read. I did read a little bit more of A Psalm of Storms and Silence. Right now, it's kind of giving me Children of Blood and Bone vibes, like, because Malik and Katrina are interacting in the dreamscape, and Katrina still like hates Malik, but he still like holds a candle for her. And I didn't really care for Children of Blood and Bone, so this part feels very samey and I'm not interested. We'll see how the story moves along though. I am still listening to it via audio, however the library did have the ebook, so I downloaded that just in case. And I need to get some more reading done this month because the month is almost over and I just have not been myself reading wise. It's been a struggle. Granted, I did read one of my new favorite stories this month, but it's still been kind of a struggle bus. So tomorrow I'm off. I'm going to try and get at least a chunk of Ashes of Gold read tonight, get more of it read tomorrow, and get it finished by the weekend. And Friday I'm not going to be doing really any reading, maybe like an hour or two because it's Jess's birthday. She is doing a birthday live that I'll be participating in, and that should be a fun time. And then Saturday morning I work, so I might be able to read some more in between working if it's not too busy. So I probably might not check in with you guys tonight. I will probably give you guys a check-in tomorrow after I'm done filming. So I will see you guys soon. Hi everyone. Today is Thursday and it's about 2 o'clock right now. So I had the day off, so I got to sleep in a little bit. Then I got up and did some laundry, cleaned my room, and now I'm finally settling down to have some lunch and read again. So I got sushi for lunch. If you know, you know. And I am still working on Ashes of Gold. So I have it here. I finally made it to the 50% mark. And it's better than it was at the beginning. It was a little rough getting to this point, I'm not gonna lie. Rue is getting on my nerves. She's a lot, and I know this is a YA fantasy and it's doing that thing that I hate that some YA fantasies do, where it's focusing on the romance that it's trying to push at the most inopportune times. And it is like trying to build this love triangle and it's just not working, especially since one of the boys is not in Gizon. He's still back in Texas, so she's like, they're like in the middle of serious stuff, like fearing for her life one moment, and then the next moment she's texting him flirty things through her fancy technological watch that lets her communicate between worlds. And I'm like, this ain't it. And I just don't, and I don't care about their trips down a memory lane. So that's where I am with Ashes right now. It feels very different, like, because like I still don't feel like I can really picture Gizon well. I still need to know more about this world. And it's so weird because Rue is like calling these people, I understand it's been 6 months, but Rue is calling these people her family now, and I'm like, family? You're still getting to know them. And they've kind of like elected her as their leader, and I'm not a huge fan of Chosen One stories either, so that's not as fun. But let's see what the second half brings forth. I don't know how I feel about this one completely yet, but we're gonna find out. And I need to make some video content today. I was asking on Twitter for people to give me their unpopular opinions. I decided I'm going to do an unpopular opinion reaction video, so that should be fun. And I'm going to eat my lunch and I will check back with you guys soon. Okay, so I finished filming my video for BookTube and I got some book mail I wanted to show you guys. This is Mermaid Kenzie, Protector of the Deeps. So, if you watched my Kwanzaa-thon videos, you'll know I read an arc of this and I talk about it. So it's really cool. They sent me a finished copy of the book. And it's going to be fun reading this, like with my little cousin, and showing her the pictures and letting her hold the pages. Like, the artwork even better up close. There's just like a lot to love about this story, especially the bond between the mom and the daughter. And I'm really loving that more of these indie publishers are doing picture books, because I feel like indie publishers are really giving in picture books where TradPub isn't giving that well, because they're more focused on telling certain types of stories. And I wish there were more indie publishers branching into middle grade and YA. That way we can get some more different perspectives, because I've been finding amazing indie picture books for my little cousin, but then when I try to find books for her older sister, there's not that much for her age that is indie published, and that's giving us something different. So I'm really looking for these different stories that showcase Blackness outside of just how we interact with white people and how we interact with just our hair and skin. Those books it's important for kids to see positive imagery about their hair and skin, but I'm not liking how it's the whole story for some of these picture books, when they also deserve fun adventure books like this. Like, she got to go on an underwater adventure with her mom, plus she also teaches you a little bit about environmentalism and conservation and why it's important to protect our oceans. So I really appreciated this story. I'm gonna get back to reading, so I'll check in with you guys soon. Hi guys, so I finished A Psalm of Storm and Silence, so I figured now was a great time to end this vlog, and I can't really see myself rating A Psalm of Storm and Silence any higher than a 3-star. It was a decent story. It had some elements that I really liked, and I will leave my blog review linked below, but it wasn't that memorable. I felt like there was so much that Roseanne Brown could have done with the world in expanding it, but she just didn't do that much with the world, and it felt like a little lost during it, like she wasn't sure what direction to take the story into. And I felt like that reading a couple of YA duologies recently. Like, we get to book 2 and it's like the author doesn't know what to do, and I know these authors have been struggling to write the books during the pandemic. Like, it's not easy to do work right now, and especially be creative. But deadlines are being pushed in some cases, and that was definitely the case here. She said the deadline had been pushed back, and she had said she was struggling to finish writing the book, and it could have honestly just been left at book 1, and maybe she could have focused, they could have had her focus on a different book. Like, I know that happened with Alexis Henderson. She was going to write a second book for The Year of the Witching, and it just wasn't coming together, and she ended up writing something else. And I think more publishers need to give their authors that option, because these sequels where not a lot is happening and there's really no direction just don't help the story. And that's the same problem that I was having with Ashes of Gold, because I thought Wings of Ebony ended pretty strong, and then Ashes of Gold, it was like nothing happened, the world just wasn't built up well, and it's just been a struggle, like, following Rue and these new characters, and she doesn't even sound the same, and it's just not making any sense. So if you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!